Hi, this is Evan, and welcome to Wine Couch TV. This week, we're going to focus on Petite Sirah. As always, we'll taste a couple of these wines and talk a bit about the food that goes with it, but I'd really like to sort of dismiss a lot of the myths around this particularly misunderstood grape. First of all, Petite Sirah is not Syrah. The Petite Sirah grape is actually a grape called Durif, which was founded in the 1800s as a cross between Syrah and a less noble grape called Peltier, equaling a grape called Durif. Now, there's not much Durif nor Peltier left in France, and Petite Sirah pretty much exists these days in the United States and in Australia. Nevertheless, for fans of big red wines, it's worth checking out. It's deep, it's intense, it's inky, and for people who love those sort of chewy, intense wines that make you need to go to bright smile when you're done to pull that blue color off your teeth, this is an episode specifically just for you. Our first wine is the 2005 vintage of Peachy Canyon's Petite Sirah from Paso Robles. Paso Robles is one of the two sort of spiritual and quintessential homes of this grape in California. It does well there. The vines are getting very old, giving a lot of concentration and a lot of color, as we'll see in just a second. Aside from having big, extracted, almost opaque color, this wine sort of comes forth and almost kicks you in the nose with a lot of rich, jammy, pie-like character of fruit that sort of goes somewhere between blackberries and alala berries to a little bit of red plums, having a kiss of spice and a little bit of cinnamon, a bit of nutmeg, and everything in between. It's jammy, it's full-bodied, and it says, drink me, which is what I'm going to do. This wine is not for the meek. It is big, tannic, mouth-coating, full-bodied, and leaves you craving food because obviously you're not going to just sit here and drink it by itself. It's definitely a powerful wine, one that you could probably put away for a couple of years, but for me a lot of the charm of Petite Sirah is in its youth, and this premium-priced wine is one that I would probably enjoy for now for the next couple of years. The second wine we're having is the 2005 vintage of Petite Sirah from Peltier Station in the appellation of Lodi. Now, Lodi, along with Paso Robles, is again one of the two sort of great homes of this grape in the Golden State of California. Here, again, older vines on non-grafted roots, which is to say planted in their own roots, give wines tremendous concentration and a lot of power. This wine has, again, that same sort of deep, spicy concentration, but this has almost more of a root beer or sarsaparilla-like character to the nose, a little bit of a pepperiness to it, and again, just sort of crammed full of oozing black and dark red fruit. In the mouth, this wine is so ripe that it has sort of almost a raisiny, pruny sweetness to it, although there's absolutely no residual sugar in this wine. It's almost port-like in its concentration, and for those people that just like sort of big, thick, chewy wines, this is going to be the ticket for you. Also premium priced. Neither of these wines are for people that don't like big red wine. Petite Sirah really does crave big dishes. Once again, not a particular kind of wine that you could enjoy with lighter fare, not for roast chicken, not for a little bit of a veal scallopini. Here you want things that are on the big grill. So anything from Korean short ribs to flank steak to barbecue, anything like that is going to really stand up to and hold up to a big, full-bodied wine such as Petite Sirah. Fuller braises, big stews, dishes like that. Chili con carne is going to be really, really happy here as well, too. Good wine to take down to the chili cook-off. Last but not least, cheese, surprisingly or not, works really well here. Now, a lot of people would say, why would that work? It's such a big wine, it would overpower it. But because it's so ripe and it gives you this almost impression of sweetness, very much like a dessert wine would, this particular wine carries a whole range of cheeses. And again, if the tannins are big but not necessarily astringent, often the case with Petite Sirah, you can find happiness across a broad range of fromage, as they would say. This week's Wine Couch word of the week is micro-oxygenation. Now, this is a very complicated term for a not very complicated process. For a lot of big red grapes like Petite Sirah or like Tannat, a grape that you'll find in Madiran down in southwestern France, in order to soften up the tannic structure before the wine ever gets in the bottle, during and more importantly post the fermentation process, what they'll do is actually put these little aeration devices in the wine tank itself and percolate through just small, minute, miniature amounts of oxygen in the wine for the purpose of bringing out the fruit and softening out the tannins. If you're trying to figure out what I'm thinking about, think about those sort of aeration stones that sit at the bottom of your fish tank and gradually add minuscule amounts of air in there so your fish don't die. Well, in this particular case, it's softening up the wine and giving you an easiness to it and making the wine much more approachable in its youth than it would be if simply left to its own. Anyway, that's it for Wine Week. If you do want to check out more about Petite Sirah, I'd encourage you to go to a site, psiloveyou.org, and you can learn all about this grape, even more than I'm telling you right now. Until then, see you next time.